Happy Eid.
Well, indeed.
Baraka the Sanla.
Baraka Kadeh. Baraka Kadeh. Baraka Kadeh.
You see how he's practiced in Namin too.
Oh, listen, he can speak a little.
Yeah,
He will do his shakara right
But he practices around this time of year because he knows what he's up to.
Yes. Good morning to you, Farouk. I'll be there.
Yeah.
He does a nice barbecue of meats, man.
Yeah.
Chale.
Well, good morning.
It's
Happy
all in moderation.
Eid to all our friends everywhere, around the world, around our country. Good morning to Bambaki Ahmed.
Yeah.
You're on my mind.
Okay, good morning also to you, your pharmacist, Salifu Combat, and also the Member of Parliament from Young, Abdulaziz.
I said
Mohammed
don't go
Abdul.
there. Don't begin to mention
And then
names.
also...
don't mention names, I beg you.
Oh, Adams Mutawakilu, Member of Parliament for Damango. Should we continue?
Who else is
Haruna
house do you know?
Idrisu, the Member of Parliament. Oh, plenty. Muslims.
But
And then my good friends in Ashaiman.
let's not forget our own colleagues who are celebrating this season. Malik Abbas Dabu, as well as our own Abu here.
And Latif Idris, I mean,
Yes,
on a day
indeed.
like this.
Who is Abu? Who is Abu? Who is here? Abu Beidu.
Abu, no. Abu's at myjoyonline.com.
Abu Beidu.
Yeah, we remember our colleague and friend Latif Idris as well. Typically on a day like this, he would be at the Independence Square. That's where we would usually place him to do two things. Join in the celebrations and also do a report. So, he's still very much recovering, so we still pray for him.
Indeed, and as we think of him, there is actually a story here in the Ghanaian Times that has a little something to do with Latif. Perhaps I'll start with that.
Sure.
So, banner headline on the front page of the Ghanaian Times says, government set to open $250 million terminal of Kotoka International Airport on the 2nd of October.
Government will open it.
Yes, government will open it.
It's not the same terminal we're told could build about 5 more.
Yes, well, but still,
we should have
they are going to
cancelled this
open
contract.
Yeah, no, this wasn't one of the contracts that they felt the need to cancel. No, I guess it was too well written for anyone to come and redo it.
We should have
bring
cancelled
their
it, I
own
was
people in.
thinking. All right.
Anyway, corruption is killing Ghana. That's according to the Auditor General. Tell us something we don't know. But he does have an interesting idea of how we should fight it. I'll tell you about that in a moment. Also, Ghana opens Book of Condolence for Kofi Annan. Now, this is the story that has a little something to do with Latif. Police drop treason charge against Koku Anyidoho. Now, that's on page 2. And of course, you remember that it was at the arrest of Koku Anyidoho that Latif Idris, while reporting for JoyNews, got brutally assaulted by police officers right outside the CID headquarters. Now, to think that following all of that brouhaha, they have dropped the charges for lack of evidence against Koku Anyidoho. It makes you wonder whether the cost of it is worth this outcome. I always wondered at the time Koku Anyidoho was arrested, based on what he said. And a quick reminder of what he said, by the way, and I'm quoting here. Koku Anyidoho said on a radio show, somebody should tell Nanado that history has a very interesting way of repeating itself. On January 13, 1972, a certain Colonel Ignatius Kutu Achampong led a revolt that removed the Progress Party from power. Then when he was asked by the host on the radio station to clarify his statement, he simply repeated, history has an interesting way of repeating itself. Based on this, the CID arrested him on charges of treason. And I always thought, if the CID, after listening to this, believed that Mr. Anyidoho was some sort of threat and that treason was possible. Because you remember, after they arrested him, the next thing they did was they went to his house to search. So I always wondered, why didn't they just simply wait and go and arrest him in his house with a warrant, which would then allow them to search the house at the same time? So that they don't create the media circus.
Maybe that's how they operate.
So that they avoid the media circus that led to Latif's brutal assault. Unless the aim of the exercise was to create a media circus. Because otherwise I can think of many more effective and efficient ways of carrying out this exercise.
Without the attendant
So
drama that
perhaps,
was created.
perhaps we need to start scrutinizing the intentions of the CID every now and then. Not just the CID, but law enforcement and other state institutions. When
And
they
the way
do
they go
certain
about their things.
when they do certain things, I think any discerning person can tell that they're doing this for effect. Not really for your benefit. They're not working on our behalf. They're doing it to make a statement on their own behalf.
Yeah.
But anyway, that is done. Corruption is killing Ghana, according to the Auditor General. I want to tell you quickly about this story. We have only 3 newspapers today, by the way, which means we should be able to get through a few more of these stories. But the Auditor General, Daniel Domelovo, was speaking at an anti-corruption event, and he had this very interesting idea. He said, we have to look at prosecution of corruption cases again. And in my view, not only decentralize it, but commercialize it. Okay, so he says this will encourage people to take up the fight in their individual capacities, knowing that there will be a prize to take home at the end of every successful effort to recoup siphoned funds from the state. And then he gives an example. He says, if you go to the US, a group of lawyers and accountants can investigate a corrupt official, and when they win the case, whatever money is collected, a portion is given to them, and they live on that. He says, I know we have brilliant lawyers who have been fighting corruption for free, so what do you think will happen if they have to fight it and make income out of it? They will fight it like nobody's business.
You're an anti-corruption ambassador. Was a position?
Well, I'm part
Crusader.
of Corruption Watch. Yeah.
Yeah. So you think that's the way to go? Because I thought we could have always fought corruption with the regulations, all the laws, deterrent enough to perhaps prevent us from getting into the hole now we find ourselves, right?
I think personal interest always gets in the way when the state attempts to do the right thing. State officials are sometimes sitting targets for those who want to abuse the system. You can easily corrupt someone, or find some way of discrediting someone who's coming up against you. But the idea of having private persons get involved in the prosecution of corruption cases, the thing that appeals to me, one thing appeals to me about the idea, and that is the fact that these people are coming from a position outside the system. They are coming with a motivation of getting a portion of the money back anyway. So you can't offer them that as a disincentive for them to do their job. And the private sector has demonstrated a certain level of improved efficiency when it comes to almost everything, as compared to public sector here in Ghana. So I can see how it's a promising idea. But perhaps we'll have to be very careful about which individuals we involve in this. To be more exact, I think I know where Mr. Domelovo is coming from. He has benefited greatly from the advice behind the scenes of private legal practitioners. Their suggestions and pointing in one direction or the other have helped him to be far more effective in his job than perhaps he would have otherwise. He came from outside into this position, so there would have been a lot that he wasn't already plugged into. But some of the advice of certain private legal practitioners that I know of personally have helped him to steer his own policy and his own direction to very positive results.
Well, let's do the Daily Graphic.
All right, front page of the Daily Graphic newspaper. Diplomatic missions mourn Kofi Annan. Illegal structures demolished to pave way for Tema motorway interchange. And I'm just reading about this one. Otiko bows out of politics.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Why, Ibo?
Is she going to become
So
a
she's no
career
more
diplomat?
No, she's not going to Italy, apparently.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, tell us about
She
that.
turned the offer down. That story is on page 13. Okay, so here we go. And she was speaking to Rebecca Kwako Duho, who's the graphic reporter. Says the immediate past Minister of Gender, Children and Social Protection, Miss Otiko Afisa Jaba, says she is bowing out of active politics. In an exclusive interview with the Daily Graphic in Accra yesterday, she hinted that she would want to take a long break after 13 years of active politics so that she could enjoy life with her children. Ms. Jabba was appointed Ghana's ambassador to Italy just a fortnight ago, but said she had declined the offer and communicated same officially to President Akufo-Addo. The former minister has handed over to the Minister of Planning, Professor George Jan Bafo. After her appointment as ambassador to Italy, Ms. Jabba was tasked to hand over to Hajia Mahama, who would act until the new minister designate, Ms. Cynthia Morrison, is vetted by Parliament. So see, here's a quote from the conversation.
So she's not going to Italy.
Quotes, at 56 years, I want to relax and enjoy my life, my family and life, and therefore I am not ready to take up the appointment as ambassador to Italy.
But the president is 74 years.
Yeah,
Explaining further why she declined the offer, Ms. Jabba said she was bowing out of politics to take care of her former husband, who had had stroke for the past 6 years. Quote, I am the one who has been taking care of him since he got sick, and I cannot abandon him, unquote.
Yeah. Okay. I love that quote.
They also talk about they also talk about achievements, some achievement that she's shot surprisingly.
So it's a whole feature.
A lot of, it's not necessarily a feature, it's just half page of it. But it's also outlined some of the achievements, her as a politician and also as a minister. I don't know, I feel really sad, you know, reading the story.
But for me, I've always loved her personality. I don't know why, I've always loved her personality, especially when she entered the scene in the mid-2000s, and even though she'd been in politics maybe for a couple of years before then, but with the MPP, she always stood her ground, became a woman of her own, was somebody who was vociferous despite even the dissenting voices against the views that she held on many other things.
True.
And I feel that just like the way men are given those opportunities to be brutal and brutish and bullheaded and all that, she was somebody who also epitomized a principled person, and that's what I loved about her.
You know, I actually
it's
broke
so sad
the
that
news.
she doesn't want to do politics
I broke the news of the changes to her because she didn't know.
She didn't know.
She had not seen it. I mean, the conversation had gone on.
You are saying that the government that she was
the letter came,
the
day the letter came. No, I'm not saying anything that's contradicting.
You are saying the government that she was part. She was not communicated when the changes were coming.
No. Roland,
sister,
why are you treating me like
this is exclusive news.
This is it.
Most workers no.
Okay, well, so take your time. I'm saying that
the government that she was part.
See, here we go again.
I'm listening.
You know, the day the letter communicating the change came in terms of the reshuffle, I was with her.
Right.
But obviously, because I am the news person, I got the information, but she was in a meeting. So, because we had, there's something that I'm doing with the ministry, by the way, and I pray and hope that it won't stop because she's been changed. So I went to show it to her, and then she said, but I told them I didn't want to go to Italy. That's what she said. That's what I'm saying, that the conversation had gone on, except that perhaps she didn't think that they were actually going to affect it.
No, it means that maybe the last time she had a conversation with whoever, and I'm thinking it should be the president. Then it means that she got the understanding that she was not going to Italy.
No, she got the understanding that she was going to Italy, but she said she wasn't.
Yeah, so they had come to a certain consensus that when
she didn't want to go. Whichever way, why are you interpreting what I'm saying?
Why shouldn't I interpret what you're saying? It's a serious thing you are saying.
Wait, Mama B, as for this one, I think Roland is right. Yes, because you gave her information she didn't know. That means they put out information into the public domain before they gave it to her.
So
because she had told them she doesn't want to go to Italy.
Exactly,
right?
but
so she wasn't expecting to be posted to Italy.
Look,
well,
and you gave her that information.
I think that
this newspaper review segment, right? So let me say what I have to say.
I think this goes to agree, like this kind of give me the word.
Reshuffling.
No, the fact that she's declined
means that
it tells me that what she told me was right. She said she didn't want to go to Italy.
Okay, yeah. No, but who doesn't want? I want to go to Italy. What are you talking about? You think somebody will get to Italy and say, "Move go Italy"?
I wanted to mention that I was also blown away by Otiko Jabba, especially during her vetting, where she demonstrated quite a lot of independent thinking.
Yeah.
You know, and
stood her ground on many
stood up to a lot of very chauvinistic.
Posture,
yes, of some of the members of the
males.
In fact, I expected those members of the committee to apologize to women as a whole for some of the questions they asked about her hair. I mean, honestly, you are a representative of the people of Ghana to make laws. And the question you have for a female candidate for a position that the president has nominated her to is about her hairstyle. I was ashamed. And in fact, if that had been my MP, I would have led action against her, because I can't be represented in Parliament by someone who thinks like that. Her hair, really?
Well,
but anyway, beyond that, I don't know if I'm convinced about her performance in the position.
I am. She's done some incredible things.
I think she's done well.
I tell you what, in the face of all the criticisms, you miss her.
1, 2, 3.
So
I think it's 2 against 1. 2 against 1.
So like
you've lost already. Your explanation.
Kojo Yankson, you miss her at the ministry.
No, he's lost already. 2-1. So what's your explanation?
We listened to your explanation. Listen
Whatever.
to mine.
Whatever.
Listen to mine. I'm not sure I'm convinced about her performance in the position. I think there were certain obvious things that she missed, what you call low-hanging fruit, that she could have taken action on, sponsored bills on child sexual abuse. It became far too rampant, and she did far too little about it. There was just talk, no action. Nothing changed in this country under her, tenure at the ministry.
You're talking about
when it comes to how we protect children and how we prosecute those who abuse them. Well, nothing changed.
What do you think should have been the roadmap?
I would have loved to see her sponsor a bill to Parliament that protects children. Okay, that
we already have regulations that protect children. You're saying we need more regulations.
We do. When it comes to children, we absolutely do. We don't have enough laws.
I think the thing we fail to do in this country.
Let me explain.
Is that we have so many laws already. Yeah. Nobody's acting.
The woman has left office. This matter you want to say, dear?
Roland, why?
No, we have overruled this matter.
What I'm saying.
Mashallah.
No, I won't stop this. We always prioritize other things over children. Not today, not this morning. All right? Look, when it comes to the laws that protect children, that is one of the few areas in which our laws are inadequate. If somebody is accused of abusing a child, there is nothing in our laws that says, look, remove that person from a position of responsibility over children while you investigate. Okay, so there can be a headmaster who abuses a child, and while he is in court being prosecuted, he is still headmaster.
Isn't that more administrative procedures?
But if you pass a law that makes sure that can't happen, have you not achieved something?
Anyway.
Okay? And that was only one of many examples of ways in which we don't protect children. We don't have any shelters.
I'm telling you that we have many.
We don't have shelters. When a child points a finger at somebody who has abused them, and that person is living in the same home with that child, there's nothing to protect that child during the time when the thing is being investigated.
I guess what you want to say is we don't have enough.
That's what I said. I said there aren't enough shelters. And Otiko Jaba had an opportunity to do something about this. Okay. So for me, when I judge her performance, in the ministry, these are some of the things. Yes.
We hear. So
but rather, she had time to talk about
Kojo. I like the woman too much.
Moisha Budon on CNN.
Listen,
I mean, really?
Moisha is your friend.
We've talked about how independent she was and she still is.
Yes, I agree.
We all have our flaws. She couldn't have been 100%. We still celebrate her for the things that she stood for.
I think I celebrate
I worked closely with her in many things. And some of the things that are yet to come out, incredible things that people will begin to see. And I hope that it continues, even though she's no longer the Minister for Gender, Children, Social Protection. Yeah. Okay, back page of the Daily Graphic newspaper. Ghana National Fire Service investigates Nansuman fire outbreak. Muslims mark Eid al-Adha. Muslims around the world are today celebrating Eid al-Adha, one of the two most important festivals on the Islamic calendar. Eid al-Adha is a festival celebrated among Muslims in remembrance of the sacrifice Prophet Ibrahim made out of his strong faith in Allah, the Most High. It marks the willingness of Ibrahim or Abraham to sacrifice his son on God's command, and Muslims celebrate the day by slaughtering animals such as sheep and goats, whose meat is shared among family and friends and also given to the poor. Ibrahim showed a willingness to sacrifice his son Ishmael, but his son was replaced with a lamb by Allah, who was so pleased with Ibrahim's submission to him that he made this demonstration of sacrifice and faith a permanent part of a Muslim's life. So on Roving this morning, we've got Chief Momen, our roving reporter, and it's coming to you from somewhere where prayers will be said later this morning, but we will be gauging the mood and be talking to teachers also about this day and what we should all know. Those of us who are not Muslims necessarily, what must we know about the day and how people are generally celebrating it. Our colleague Albert Sori also has filed a report for us, so we will tell you how different people got ready for today. That's all coming up this morning here on our show. Yeah. Okay, center spread, prioritize road safety in urban planning. Experts tell African countries like they are listening. Speakers at an international road safety and urban mobility workshop in Accra have urged African government to prioritize road safety as a critical part of urban planning and infrastructural design to reduce the estimated 300,000 people killed in road accidents on the continent each year. There's also a story about government negotiating with strategic investors for setup of national home-based carrier. It's all about Cecilia Benadapa, who is up from that aviation ministry, but I guess it was her last meet the press. And details of that story in the Daily Graphic newspaper today.
Will she be the one?
She's going to sanitation.
Oh, okay. Will she be helping the president commission the $250 million at the time over bloated, but now I'm thinking. But let's look at the Daily Guide newspaper.
To the information ministry.
Yeah, I should. Daily Guide newspaper. Nana host Rawlings. We have Unibank directors fight back. Bagbin punches Mahama over Land Cruiser, V8 and mansions. Is all. And Abang Bagbin, who is one of the apparently individuals aspiring to become the flag bearer of the NDC, has been punching the former president John Dramani Mahama a lot on his road trip to the grassroots of the NDC and their home base. And this time I think he was in the Volta region. And among all the other things he said, for example, he said, we used to have a lot of the youth with the NDC. Today, the youth are leaving and joining the MPP and other parties in the Volta region, the World Bank of the NDC, where we used to harvest the votes. In 2016, they showed us the red card. Then he continued, something is wrong. That is why they did that. Not because they don't like NDC, but something went wrong, so they showed us the red card. Okay.
So where does he actually talk about?
And he also said they seem to have hostilities as well. But the V8 is coming from the quote here, in which he says that he said the Latter-day Saints in the party became rich overnight, acquiring wealth at the expense of the ordinary party members. Don't tell me that the boy that suddenly came closer to the president within 4 years can build mansions and buy Land Cruisers, and you say there are no resources. Where are they getting the salaries? Where are they getting the money? Their salaries? He quizzed. And that was at a meeting at the Keta.
Quiz some, Mr. Bagbe.
With quizzing.
Or a quizzical. So does anybody have an idea how people can go into government and
I don't know.
There are some politicians who actually, apart from being in government, have not had any other job in their entire lives. I can think of one.
They call themselves career politicians.
Yes. So that means that whatever they own, they've got it from their salaries. As
ideally,
either ministers or...
They'll say that maybe they have businesses on the side.
How did they get these businesses?
I don't know.
Okay.
Anyway.
All right, let's do myjoyonline.com and then we'll do some international news. 2 at least before we bring you sports. We will do Uganda and then we'll talk a bit about...
Becca got married.
Where have you been?
Hey.
All right. Because you see, I know we featured it on AM.
Hey, Anchor.
I wanted to...
Well, you wanted to marry her?
No, I wanted to read...
It's like you're shocked, like you still can't get over the fact that Becca got married.
Anyway, Joe, myjoyonline.com has a number of stories I think we ought to look at, including this one. Bagman is out to destroy NDC, not lead it, according to Kofi Adams. Dema. Who else is up here? Government failure to pay contractors is the cause of banks' collapse, according to Alban Bagbin. And he says this following a conversation with the finance minister. I wonder what
was said to him in that conversation. But this is a story that caught my attention. Striker of Beast of No Nation. Remember that rather compelling-looking kid? He had that wonderful face. You know, he played that role so well. Striker, Beast of No Nation, is now a beggar at Kaneshia Market. Unbelievable. But it appears that he was unable to carry the acting career any further, which is such a pity because he was excellent in that movie. Right, who else do we have here? Otiko received proposal to play Barcelona in Friendly. Hey. Okay, and Anan's funeral arrangements to be announced after Otumfuo's meeting with family.
Where will he be buried?
Oh, that's a tough one. I don't know.
I think he's lived, most of his life, or if not, the better part of his life outside Ghana.
Oh, he won't be buried outside Ghana. I doubt. Okay. I seriously doubt that.
Okay.
But of course, the family will ultimately have that information. They will know how that will all go down, and it will be communicated after their meeting with the Asante Hene. Right. Here's what else is there. 16 nurses get pregnant at Arizona Hospital ICU. Hey, run 'em. Hey. So they have to investigate too. Either there is something in the water,
or there's something in the water.
There is a very friendly doctor working at water. The water that they drink in that hospital.
Yeah.
But I think it's amazing to have 16 nurses, and I'm sure this will be a big hospital. Which hospital is it?
No, but they are all coming from.
They are all in the ICU.
Intensive.
These women have enjoyed intensive care from their men, and they are now about to bear fruit. Wow, 16 nurses. Anyway, congratulations to them.
In the ICU.
16.
Hey!
Also, Ghana must start protecting Kofi Annan's legacy.
Oh, have you finished with that, sir?
No, you want to say something else?
No, it's okay.
Pregnancy. Anyway, Ghana must start protecting Kofi Annan's legacy. That's what a security analyst is saying. And finally, inside Asiedwa's chest, Asiedwa used to write quite a lot for My Joy Online, and here's another one from her. She talks about Compound House Chronicles Part 2. That ought to be interesting. So you can go to myjoyonline.com and check that out. Mama V has a few other stories, international stories, right?
Yes, we do. So, you know, if you've been following the news in Uganda, you would know that some MPs have been arrested. There's a former musician popular amongst them. And this is a report that we picked up from one of the sites. Let's show you what they're reporting.
Today, as gunshots and tear gas rocked most of the city. The first places to experience the chaos were Seka Market, Nachivubo, Nabugabo areas. The protesters started a call for the release of detained Chadondo East MP Robert Chagulanyi Sentamu, who was picked up in Arua last week and reportedly tortured while in custody. The protesters burned tires and other materials which they dumped on the roads, blocking traffic. However, the police would have none of it. The police were soon joined by the army, who took charge of the situation. Traders were forced to close their shops and forced out of the buildings. Most walked out with their hands were raised up. By mid-afternoon, several people had been beaten, while others, including journalists, were finally arrested. In the end, 45 people are now in police custody. The riot action spread to other parts of the city, including Nasa and Nkrumah roads, where traders and printers were forced to shut up shop. Earlier on, police and the army had set up heavy security covering junctions coming to the city center, like in Karerwe and Waisi. In Chileka, at Sportsview Hotel, protesters started burning car tires, blocking the road with stones, but police responded quickly to curb the situation. There were reports that residents had been rioting in Mukono, Kayunga and Jinja, as well as Makerere University.
All right, so protests in Uganda because of the arrest of some MPs, and it will continue today. The military is in charge. Sometimes when you hear what happens in other African countries, you tend to really, really love Ghana more.
True.
Yeah. All right, and then in South Africa, the investigations, that inquiry into Jacob Zuma's alleged corrupt practices is underway. I think it was day one yesterday. The highly anticipated Commission of Inquiry into State Capture kicked off, if you like, on Monday morning in Johannesburg. It will bring various key witnesses, including former Deputy Finance Minister, Minister and former ANC Member of Parliament. I'm sure you've heard about the Gupta family. We used to hear that a lot. Their influence in Jacob Zuma's administration then. So that's one of the things that they want to get to the bottom of. There were also state funds allegedly used. For instance, we heard largely that it was used to renovate his home, for instance.
20 million.
Yeah, so, all them things.
Let's see how that all unfolds. Just before we wrap up, did you hear yesterday the story about the DC who told the police that if they are attacked, they should shoot their attackers?
That is if civilians attack
Yes.
them.
They should shoot them. A DC said this.
But the police have guns, so why they rather should protect the...
No, he says they should shoot civilians.
Yeah, and he's a DC.
Yes. A DC was sacked for saying Shia. This one is asking people to shoot civilians.
That was old time.
And he's still there. All right.
Well, let's wrap up with a few of your messages. This one says, reporting for JoyNews. Wow, happy Eid too. This is to Rafiq Salam. This is from Joseph, who is in Boko, and of course every other person watching. As Baraka the Sun, somebody says to you guys, we slaughter sheep, goats, cows, and camels to mark Allah's test on Abraham to slaughter his son.
Who said camels? In Ghana? The person said
camel. Bambaki Asamed in Navro. Oh, Roland, stop.
They don't only celebrate the ladder in Ghana.
This one says, okay. Andy in Asimfosu says, issues on rights abuse was very poorly handled at the ministry. So, okay, let's take a breather. Let's bring you sports. We'll come back and talk some more.
Of course, you don't know the person.
Idil Adha here on the show. Sorry.